Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart from Mia InnerLight, and we are here live on Kardec Radio. Now, this program that used to be once a week, it's monthly. So pay attention, write it down so you don't miss our programs. It's always on the first Thursday of the month. I know that nowadays people like to watch it recorded so they can be doing other things, but it's so much nicer when we are online and when we can actually interact with our friends. So let me just remove this banner here. Yes, it gets much better. So very, very good. Super happy to be here online to start our study. This is our new book, Heaven and Hell. Is a wonderful book from the Pentateuch of Kardec. It's a very important book, and it is a book that not a lot of people study it. Everybody studied the Spirit's book. Everybody studied the Gospel. Some people study the Medium's book, Genesis, but nobody talks about heaven and hell. And it's funny, but a lot of people tell me they don't study that book because they don't like the title. They are afraid of the title. And I'm like, what? You can't. You cannot be. If you are a spiritist, if you understand that life is much more than our physical body, you have to have a broader understanding of what happens when this physical body dies. And yes, heaven and hell is pretty much a concept of the Catholic Church, but it's important for us to understand and make a correlation with Spiritism. So let's do it. Hello, Herminio. Very nice to have you here with us. Good morning. Wait, where are you? Good morning. I'm in Miami. It's 9 p.m. Where are you located, Herminio? Hello. By the way, my friends, if you are watching us live, you have to say hello. You have to send a message because I cannot see your names if you don't write something in our chat. I'm using a platform that connects YouTube and Facebook, so I cannot see directly. Very good. Let's not waste too much of our time. I hope you have your bottle of water. We will be doing a quick prayer right now, and then I will invite my two guests for the night. Okay? Quick, let's close our eyes and let's concentrate. God, our Mother and Father, thank you so much for another opportunity of being here at Kardec Radio, studying Spiritism, helping us to improve ourselves, trying to understand the teachings of the enlightened spirits, and most of all, putting them in practice. Thank you so much for being with us. Help all of us and inspire us tonight. So be it. Very good. So I will bring my friends that will be talking to me tonight. So I have here Jeffrey. Hello, Jeffrey.
Angie, good evening. It's great to see you.
Very good seeing you. Very good seeing you. So most of my friends that watch us online have never seen you here with me. So we need to tell them a little bit about you. So Jeffrey, how did we meet?
Absolutely. So I found Spiritism about 15 years ago. Actually, it was my former landlord. He and I would talk about philosophy, spirituality, and he said, "You're Spiritist." And I had never heard of Spiritism, and there wasn't a center nearby. So with a few friends, he and I started a weekly group, and we read the Spirit's book for many months. And the message resonated with me. I've explored lots of traditions, and Spiritism is it for me. I found the belief system that reflects sort of my ideas about life and the world and afterlife. And so when I moved to New York City, I went to InnerLight, which is a center that Angy was very heavily involved with. Went about 10 years ago, I think we first met, and like maybe around 2012 or so. And InnerLight changed my life. During that time, I was in a PhD program, struggling with addiction. And through Spiritism, I've been able to create a path of recovery and to finish my doctorate and to rebuild my life after some kind of really devastating and dark days. So Spiritism is near and dear to my heart, and so is Angy. So really good to be here together.
So nice, because we all, we always struggle in life with so many things, but especially when you were studying your doctors, oh my God, it's so much, it's so hard to do that in a very busy city like New York. I'm glad the spirits helped you throughout your landlord. Look how funny. That's nice. What a nice landlord.
He is. Rogerio's a great guy. Every now and then I email him and say, by the way, still active with Spiritism. Thank you for changing my life. I mean, it was meant to be.
So nice. Very beautiful.
And I'm so happy to be in South Florida with you, Angy. I moved here for work, and one of the things I'm most excited about is to be able to contribute to me at InnerLight and to learn from you and with you and to help our group to flourish. It's such a blessing to be here. So
very good. Yes, my friends, if you don't know, Jeffrey was with us online throughout many months throughout the pandemic. We were studying together online, and then he moved to Florida. So very good. We took you out from the computer and you brought to physicality.
It's materialized.
Very good.
Now I'm sunburned and sweating at the 90-degree days, but I love it. Forget the cold, never again.
Yeah, get used to it. Get used to it. And we have also Yvonne. Hello, Yvonne.
Hi, Angy. Hi, Jeff.
Yvonne, how are you?
So Yvonne was our other friend that was online with us throughout the pandemic. We are trying to take Yvonne out of the computer and bring it to Miami, but we couldn't make it yet. Soon. So Yvonne, the same question I asked Jeffrey. How did you end up being in Spiritism?
I lived in Florida 6 years ago. I'm in Pennsylvania now. And a year before I moved, a mutual friend introduced me to Spiritism. But then I moved here and I fell by the wayside. There were no groups here. And then when COVID happened and everybody went online, I joined the Miami group again. And soon after I joined that one, John, my friend, introduced me to Angy. So I only know Angy online. So it's virtual. So I left and Jeff came. So
yes. Yvonne, let's think about bringing you back.
One more thing. It's interesting that we're reading this book, Heaven and Hell, because the reason why Spiritism resonates with me, I always wondered what happens to us when we die. It's like, how come no one ever comes back and tells us what happens? And then Spiritism was the answer. Spiritism had the answer for me.
Yeah.
And I just love everything about it right now. It's, I like the philosophy. I like the morality of it, and also the scientific background of it.
Yes. This also touched me very deeply because, I'm from Brazil. In Brazil, Spiritism is super well known. Everybody knows Spiritism. Even if you are not Spiritist, you know what it is. But I remember thinking the same things, like in watching the horror movies. I was fascinated by horror movies, fascinated. Everything that was related to spirits, I was just like, whoa, I like it. And sooner or later, I start seeing spirits everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, I became the movie now. And yes, was very like, oh my God, now I see them. But then I start seeing also good spirits. And then I understood, wait, so it is like this. There are good and there are bad, exactly like on earth. There is good people and there is people that kind of not that good. And the moral aspect of spiritism is so touching because it helps us to understand that if we become better people, we can have a better awakening in the other side. Of course, here we also become better people here, but our actions, our connections to different people, it will bring us to a better environment and a better mindset. So when we die, when the physical body dies, because we are all going to die, nobody escapes from it, then we will wake up in a better situation. And the movie, there's the beautiful book Nosso Lar, Astral City, but the majority haven't read the book. That's a phenomenal book, but they watch the movie, and the movie brings a lot of these teachings, a lot of these ideas that helps us to have the aha moments. So this is it's very good to hear you both talking, how it resonates with you. It can resonate with so many other people.
Absolutely.
So
As Yvonne and I were preparing for the show, we were kind of reading some of the book together and discussing our own experiences. And something that I shared was, as a child, I was tormented because I did not believe that there was like a heaven and a hell. And I asked my mom so many times, like, Mom, there's something else. Like, I think when we die, we go to like a new arena and we learn and grow and we come back again. And my mom was troubled. She was like, no, that's not what the Christianity teaches us, And I would dream many, many, many nights. I would dream that I was in heaven and I was begging. I said, please, I know there's more to this. I want to keep working. There's more to do. And so, I mean, honestly, for several years of my childhood, this was the big dilemma, because I knew it wasn't the ideas that I was presented with about, we go to heaven or we go to hell and that's where we are forever. I knew it wasn't accurate. And I think heaven and hell, this chapter talks about the sense of like humans being given like an intuition, I think is mentioned in the first section, that we, if we connect to our guides and reflect, like we can learn that there is certainly more out there for us.
So interesting. And then, we are all brought in different religions, in different backgrounds. In my case, for example, my whole family, they were all Catholic. So the things are Brazil also is a gigantic Catholic country. So people have somehow a Catholic background. And when I start telling my mother that I saw spirits, for her, especially, this is like she didn't. First of all, she didn't believe it exists. Different from some people that think it is something from the devil. In my mother's case, you're getting crazy because it doesn't exist. And only when you are going through it, you're like, no, I'm not crazy. It exists. And of course, people that do not see spirits, they do not resonate because they're like, she's so nice, but she's getting crazy. I heard this so many times. But before we go ahead, let me just say hello. We have a bunch of friends online. Oh, let me go back here. Oh, we have Juan. Hello, Juan. Nice to have you here with us. I hope you can come Tuesday again. Then we have Julio. Hello, Julio.
Julio, welcome.
We have Claudia Nunes. Hello, Claudia. We all praying for your mom. We are so happy that we could send the good vibrations to her, and hopefully she will wake up in a better state in the spiritual realm. We have also Noah. Hello, Noah. Noah is from my group, Grow Adventures. Hey, I'm happy that you are here with us. This is awesome. Herminio, you still didn't tell me where are you, because you said good morning. And now you're saying good evening. Which country are you? I'm curious. So let me just take a look. Hello, Mary. Very nice to have you here.
Hey, Mary.
That's awesome.
I'm a New Yorker.
You see? We have Mia InnerLight and Groove Adventures working hard here with us. So, my friends, we are studying this book, Heaven and Hell. And we do it once a month. And every month we study one chapter. So this month, these two buddies here are going to be talking with me about chapter 2. And the title is Fear of Death. So this is a great title. All the subjects are so good because these titles, they have things that we also wanted to understand and we really didn't know. Like, for example, like Yvonne said, I always wanted to know what happens after the death, and nobody ever returned to say. But in Spiritism, we know that a lot of people return to say, a lot of people. But of course, it is through mediumship. It's not anyone that have this type of sensibility. And also in Spiritism, we understand this is very sacred and we have to be very careful how to use it. So it's not the mediumship people think about that you go there and you pay $100 and a spirit comes and talks to you. We don't do this for funny motives, for curiosity. This is really for enlightenment, for study, and to help the spirits and help ourselves. So I will start reading a little piece just to give an introduction, and then we are going to be discussing the points. So this is not a very, very good chapter, a very big chapter. It's not very big. It's only 10 items, but it's good for us to talk a little bit about each of them. So the number one, and by the way, I talk a lot, and everybody knows that I talk a lot. That's why I'm a speaker, because speakers, they love to talk. My goodness. But if you are watching and you would like to ask a question, you would like to make a comment, please do so. We will be very happy to have your interaction with us. It would be really, really nice. So please put your questions or your comments, and I will read them and we will share. So the first point talks about causes of fear of death. And all the points we are going to be describing here, there are 9 points. They are very common because these are the ideas that were brought to us by the most famous religions. So these are ideas that were put in our heads. And then we grew up listening to that, especially in my case that I was Catholic. So number one, I will read just a little piece of it to give us an idea. So man, to whatever degree of the scale he belongs, from the savage state upwards, has an innate presentiment about the future life. He feels an intuitive urging that death is not the end of existence. And then goes on and on and on. And this is true. Since the time much before Jesus' time, they already had an understanding that life goes on. We didn't know how it is done, but we had a feeling that something happens after the death. And even through the Bible, there are so many passages that talk about it. So how can we start talking about, my friends? We don't need to talk just about number one. We can start talking about connections with number two. The number two already goes deep in the fear of death. And then let's see if our friends will also ask questions or make comments.
This idea of understanding of the afterlife being intuitive, we think about so many traditions that have been around for thousands of years, such as Hinduism, the Jain tradition, Buddhism, the Kabbalah, lots of different branches of Judaism, all believe in reincarnation, right? Yeah. So this idea that that life ends after one manifestation here on Earth is a really new concept. right? And for thousands of years, that was not. And I think a lot of native traditions as well also believed in reincarnation. So I think that Spiritism can, in some ways, help to kind of correct that new trend that we've seen, right?
Yes, it's great, and exactly like that,
And,
exactly like that.
and while we have this fear of death, while we have this intuition that life continues, we still have the fear of death because many do not know with certainty that there is life after death. So, um, you have this conundrum of knowing that life goes on, but at the same time fearing death, not
Yes.
knowing what's going to happen after that.
Yeah, and this is normal because people don't really know what it is. They are like, how is going to, even us spiritists, we know we will wake up. There is no no person that's going to disintegrate. The spirit is not going to disintegrate. We are going to wake up. But even us spiritists, we also don't know how we are going to wake up. Are we going to wake up in a spiritual colony surrounded by good friends, or we are going to go to the lower zones depending on what we did? We don't know. That's why we have to continue working hard to improve as fast as possible so we can wake up in a little bit better environment. And when I talk about environment, I want everybody to understand the environment is created by our thoughts. Our thoughts really create our environment, and it connects us to areas that are like denser, that are darker, or connects us to lighter areas, to good things, to good spirits, to good environment. So this is for us just to think. And now when we come already, moving already to number 2 and 3 of the book. So when we talk about this fear of death, besides in addition to not knowing what's going to happen, why people have so much fear of this? Why do you think, in addition to not knowing what's going to happen, why there is so much fear of death? If you
Well, our upbringing, for one, um, when we go to church, for example, we're told different things about death. It's morbid, and you won't ever see that person again, because many people believe that there's only one life, and you'll never see those that uh, go on. So
yeah.
that there's that, because that's what the churches teach for the most part.
Yes. So the first thing, it's true because there is no death that's nice. Other day I was talking to my husband and we were talking about death, and his best friend died a few weeks ago, so it was very painful for him. And I was saying there is no good death. Any death is bad. A car accident is horrible. Heart attack, maybe the person is young and had a heart attack, or someone had cancer for many years. So any death is difficult, and it's painful. Very small part of the population have that death that everybody dreams of, going to sleep and waking up in the spiritual realm. This death is like rare, but other types of deaths are really traumatizing for us. But when we understand the physical body is just like a transition, and when we read all the books that were brought by the spirits, explaining that many times, for example, in the World Trade Center, for example, the spirits came and they said many of the people that are disintegrated with the buildings, they didn't even realize that because their spirits were removed before they felt all that pain, because they had merit. Merit is another thing that's very, very important. when you do good things, when you help others, when you try to improve yourself, you acquire more and more merit. So you can receive help in many moments, not just that, but this is one example. Another thing that you mentioned, Yvonne, it's really true with the dogmas that church brought to us. Then we start thinking, oh, so this will happen, that will happen, and it's always start creating this fear on us. So let me just see what our friend wrote here, and then we can continue. So Juan said, why don't we talk a lot more about NDEs in Spiritism? They are real experience that corroborate the existence of life after death. Yes, yes, Juan. We talk a lot about it. I remember in New York, when I was in New York, I was actually following was a website in the time. I think it was a website that they were cataloging all the experiences, and they were also purchasing all kinds of machines because they were trying to communicate with spirits. I thought it was fantastic because, in addition to the people who were dead and came to say what they saw, what happened, and they understand there is life after death, or there is something that they couldn't understand. This group of people, they were also interested in communicating with the spirits. I thought it was fantastic. So I got in touch with them, and I wrote to them about Spiritism. And I told them, yes, we follow a philosophy of life. It's not a religion, it's a philosophy of life, because you can have any religion you want. You don't need to be following just us. In our own center, in the Inner Enlightenment, we had a lot of Jewish people that were studying with us. And now we have lots of Catholics. So you just need to be a little bit more open-minded, but it's a philosophy of life. So I wrote to them about it. Long story short, they told me, oh, no, we just want to be really into the phenomena, not really about morality. And then I got so upset. I'm like, oh. So they were into talking to a spirit. So basically it was like interested in mediumship, but not really any other aspects that are so important for us. And I see Mary, he said, important to mention that not only spiritism or spiritual people have merit. Exactly, we all have merit. We all do good things. I have friends who are atheists. They do not believe in God, but they are very good people. And many times they help me with my charitable projects. And, I do a prayer and I thank God. And then he's like, and you don't need to do that. And I'm like, well, I understand that you don't believe in it. And I ask him, but so why do you do good things if you don't? He doesn't believe that there is nothing else after life. He thinks that's it. That's the life and ended. And I asked him, but so why do you do good things if there is nothing to look forward? And then he really didn't know what to say. He just said, well, I feel good. And I said, it's already good. It's good to be good. It doesn't matter if you believe in something or you don't. So we all have a merit. Totally true.
Something that's like mentioned in the section, I think is kind of interesting, is this idea that some people might believe that there's like a separation between the living and the dead, right? Mm-hmm. And this section talks about rather there's like solidarity, right? And I think this maybe one reason folks might be sort of scared of death is because this idea that I'll never see the ones I love again, right? If they're gone and we're forever not connected, or perhaps we'll meet up in heaven or hell. But I think with Spiritism, we realize that there's in fact, the book uses the term, there's this solidarity, right? So with sort of spirits incarnate and discarnate, we're creating our realities together. And so the death of the body is not the end of a relationship, but rather it's the beginning of something perhaps even more beautiful.
That's a great point, Jeff. Great point. Yes, because that's exactly what happens. Like we that's what I always tell people. The death here on earth is extremely sad. First of all, because it's ugly. You know, a person that's dying of cancer is very sick, debilitated. Is painful for us to see the person little by little going. But in the spiritual realm, is the contrary. They are super excited. They are preparing a party because someone they love is coming back. So for us, it's more or less when a baby is coming back, when a baby is going to be born. For us, it's all that excitement, a baby is coming. And there, they are sad because that person is departing and they don't know when they will be together again. So Maribel, she said that when someone dies, the soul goes back to the source, God, and then you will decide if you want to reincarnate and where would you like to go, planet Earth or any other Earth, any other planet. Not exactly like this, Maribel. There are some spiritualistic philosophies that believe in it, and we actually study that in Spiritism. In Spiritism, we have our individualities. We do not go back to the source, meaning we all disappear and we become one thing connected to God. It's not exactly like this that we believe in Spiritism. In Spiritism, when Angela dies, we remain Angela. When Maribel dies, we remain Maribel. And we will go to the spiritual realm, yes. And we will stay in the spiritual realm for some time so we can improve ourselves. We can continue studying and studying in the sense that we are going to see all the things we did or we didn't. We will see all the things that we should have done and we just used our free will. That's something very important in Spiritism, free will, and we just didn't use it or we misuse it. Like we had someone very close to us that we reincarnate, for example, to help this person, and then we had a fight and we decided never more to see this woman, for example. So in the spiritual realm it had a plan that these two souls would reincarnate to help each other, but throughout the free will, they took decisions that they wouldn't help each other. So when we go to the spiritual realm, our guardian angels or the spirits that are supposed to help us throughout our life, they will say, "Oh, unfortunately, you didn't do this, this, and this." And then when we are there, we can see things much more clear. We can understand things much more clear. On earth, the body makes us to be much more, it's much more difficult for us to take decisions. And in regard that you say we decide to reincarnate or not, until certain point, yes, is correct. We can postpone coming back to Earth, but reach to a point that you will not be able to postpone anymore. You will be obligated to come, but it can take centuries. And another thing is that most of us will come back to Earth. Only the elevated spirits are allowed to go to a higher planet, a more elevated planet. The majority will come back to Earth. That's where we have to learn. And others who are just doing more and more and more mistakes, then they might not even be able to go back to Earth. They might need to go to a planet that is less elevated. So, long story, a lot to talk, and we don't have much time. So, let's go. Let's continue. Let me give time for you both to talk. What else can we add?
There's a really oh, go ahead, Yvonne.
No, I was going to talk about the how God makes us have this fear that he talks about. Kardec talks about fear being necessary because he wants at the end of the day, it's our spirit that needs to improve. Now, if we didn't have fear of death, we might go ahead and commit suicide because we're tired of life. There are too many challenges. But if we know that there is a reason why we're here to improve our spirit, then we're not going to kill ourselves in order to escape this life and go on to another life.
Very good.
I find these ideas very inspiring and motivating, right? Like I want to do all I can in this life to correct the mistakes I've made in this life, and there are plenty, and then also the mistakes in other lives, right? Like there's so much work to be done.
Yes.
And I find Spiritism incredibly just it really motivates me to try to do my best each day, to try to find how can I be of service, what are the parts of myself that I need to dissolve and to change. And so I find this chapter in general, and certainly Spiritism, just incredibly motivating. There's so much work that we need to do, and I don't want to come back to Earth. But I think I'm going to be stuck here for a few more generations.
I wish we could all go to Saturn and very elevated planets, but Jeff, I think we will come back.
And we'll be doing this show perhaps again in 200 years from now. The same discussion.
Exactly.
One mentioned about NDEs, and I remember last month your guest Nora spoke about NDEs, and you told a story about Anita Morjani.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
That had a near-death experience, and she came back, and she was able to talk about her experience, that there was this loving energy around her.
Yes, and there are so many that are phenomenal. There is a very famous American surgeon. I have to quickly search for him, but he's an American surgeon. He was an atheist, and then he had a tumor, and he died. But he died for hours. So basic was not minutes, it was something really long, and all his family and friends were ready for him to die, and he returned. And he returned without any consequence. Nobody could believe. And then he's nowadays he gives lectures, he wrote books. I actually have his book. And then he talks how he went from being an atheist to a total believer. He's not a spiritist, but he believes in life after death. And he described in such a level of detail what happened. And he even describes that he met a young girl, a blonde girl, and this girl told him that she was his sister when he was living on Earth. And he said, no, I never had a sister. And she smiled and she didn't say anything. Long story short, he returned, and he's talking about all the experiences, and he forgot about this point. And then he reached to a time that he's really writing, and he remembers the girl, and he talks to his mother, and the mother starts crying because, yes, he had a sister, but she died very, very young, and they never spoke about it. So it's amazing the level of detail. But when he brought this to the scientific community, they did not believe him. So that's what we say. NDEs are fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I think it brings a lot of knowledge to a lot of people that have open-minded. But the ones that choose not to believe, you can give them so much proof, and they will still say, no, you were under some kind of a drug that brought hallucinations. So what can we do? Unfortunately, that's not
about those who do believe in reincarnation as part of the afterlife experience. I really like the statement from this chapter Yvonne and Angie, it said, so the people who have this belief, it says the quote, they awaited it with the same confidence with which they have awaited the rising of the sun after a stormy night. And they're thinking about sort of reincarnation, right? And I think it's such a beautiful statement to kind of give an image to the hope that awaits us as we think about our own transition and the transitions of those that we love. Like, we can have confidence that so the goodness of God will take us to where we need to be. Right?
Yes, yes. This is all so beautiful. Let me just look here. The time goes so quickly. It's 9:41. I'm like, what? What? We have so many comments too. I can't comment in every single thing, but let me just try to read quickly. Let me see here. Maribel wrote, same way you decide who your parents will be before coming to Earth, and the life you want to live, the same way you decided how you will die in a group, alone, etc. More or less, Maribel, it's more or less like this. We depend, everything in spiritism depends so much, because depends of the level in spirituality we are. It's not that every single person that can decide how I'm going to be born, which family I'm going to be born, what will be my struggles. We will be guided by our spiritual guides. They will tell Angela, the best for you would be this, this, and this. What do you think? And then I might be able to say, oh, I want more problems. Because the spirits always say that when we arrive in the spiritual realm, we feel so ashamed about all the things we didn't do that we want to do more. We want to do more. But at the same time, they tell us, I think this is enough. Will be already difficult for you to complete this. So maybe you should do this. And yes, we can also tell them, I would like to do this, but it doesn't mean necessarily that we will be, okay, this will happen because I want. It depends on so many things. The same way is how I'm going to die. If I'm going to die in a group, alone, it depends. It depends in so many things. Depends also in our karmatic situations, in the sense of what is our background? What do I need to clear in this life? Do I need to die in a group? Do I need to die in an airplane accident with hundreds of other people? Why? Nothing happens just because I want. No, we can't be like that. But if there is a necessity, this could happen. But everything depends so much. So no one said, can we reach our past when we come back as new babies? Can we reach our past? What do you mean, no one? Can we remember our past?
Yes, I remember.
Well, it's not the past memories. It's not everybody that has this type of memory, because it could be traumatic. Just to you think, right now in this life, we are not 100% good. We are already kind of more or less. Imagine 100 years ago. So we are always worse. That we were more violent people. We committed more mistakes. We had other issues. And we know that we reincarnate as a group of people. So the people connected to us, they are part of our past lives. So, my mother, my father, my sister, my son, my husband, we kind of reincarnate as a group. Even sometimes the best friends, they are not family members, but in a past life, they might have been your brother, your sister. So we reincarnate as a group. It does not mean that my husband was my husband in a previous life. No. It could be my brother, could be my father. It doesn't mean my mother was my mother, it could be my sister. And there's so many positions. The positions change, but the group goes on and on. And I was trying to tell Maribel, the positions, they depend also on what we need. For example, if I had this enemy, I hate it, and in a previous life, I killed this person. the elevated spirits might think the only solution for us to make amends is to be returning as mother and daughter. Imagine enemies, they hated each other. Now they are returning as mother and daughter. Why? Because the spirits say this is the easiest way to make amends, to forgive. Usually, the mother is more forgiving. The kids, they go through rebellion time, but mothers, they have a tendency of being more forgiving. So this is just one example. So there are so many, no one. And the spirits always tell us that sometimes we can have glimpses of our previous lives. And it's called deja vu or deja vu. You can have these glimpses. You can go in a place. For example, I always tell everybody, I went to Rome. I knew how to walk in the old part of Rome without maps. I knew exactly where I was going, how to go here and there. And I was with my Italian fiance in the time, and he couldn't even believe. And I'm like, I don't even believe, but I know that I know. And so this is one of the things. I know I was born in Rome. That's why I learned Italian so quickly. So these are things that happen, but we can't remember everything.
I think the Spiritist book, or the Spirits book rather, mentions that, so that's intentional, because if we could remember everything, we would probably be racked with guilt, right? We would be focusing on all the mistakes that we made for lifetimes, and then we just probably be too overwhelming. You know, because it seems like in this life alone, there's so many opportunities to ask for forgiveness, to try to be of service to others, and it might just be completely, disheartening and.
Exactly. Imagine you look at your mother that you have a terrible relationship. I'm just giving an example. I have a terrible relationship with my mother, and then I remember she killed me in the previous life. It's not gonna help this relationship. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult. So the spirits know what they are doing. They know what they are doing. So hello, Roberta. Nice to have you here. Hipólito. Oh, you are in Pirajuí, São Paulo. Very good, Hipólito.
Nice, welcome.
Wow. So Mary said we are lucky if we get to stay here. Exactly. I'm trying to stay on Earth. Mary said in a regenerated planet and not set back in the primitive one. Exactly. Let's stay here, please. And then Maribel said the spiritual guides can't interfere but guide you when you call up them. You have a free will, and you are the one who decides. More or less, Maribel. More or less, everything depends on your level. Everything depends on your level. And depending on your level, you have zero power of decision. You will be imposed a reincarnation. Everything depends on your level. Yes, when we are more elevated, imagine Mother Teresa of Calcutta compared to me. Mother Teresa, she will tell the guys what she wants to do, and they will say, yes, yes, yes. Me, I go there, I want to do this, and then they'll say, no, Angela, so sorry. Maybe a little bit, but 10% of what you want. So this all depends on the levels. That's why Spiritism, it's fascinating, because we have the idea, but we can never say it's like that. It's more or less like that. In most of everything is always more or less. So no one say what we were in the previous life. Well, we never know. Can we share one time you saw a spirit? Oh my God, no, I see spirits all the time. All the time. They are everywhere. We are surrounded by them. But that's what we say also. When we are doing good things, we attract good spirits. And this is very good. But when we are doing something bad, and doesn't need to be horrible, when you are gossiping, you're gossiping. So you're talking bad about someone, you will attract spirits that are in that level. They enjoy that type of situation. And when you were a medium, we are all mediums, but some people are ostensive mediums, meaning they can see, they can hear. It's a different type. So it's a blessing that I joked that I see all the time, but I don't see every single minute of my life because I was going to go crazy. But in certain moments, yes, I see. I already mentioned that I saw my father-in-law who died 2 years ago, three times already here in my house. And the last time he told me that he had to go to a location that he was going to start studying, and I wouldn't see him for quite some time. So I'm like, okay. So my father-in-law, I love to see him, but there are other spirits that said, no, 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 thank you.
I've studied the Kabbalah off and on, and something that Kabbalists say is that it's really a blessing that most of us can't see most of the spirits around us. They said, for example, if we could see the spirits in our homes, that there are many, 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 many spirits of all levels of elevation, sort of surrounding us in our living space. And so it
Yes,
probably is a blessing that for a lot of us, we don't sort of have those
exactly.
frequent
Exactly.
visions or yes. Yeah.
Because it can be disturbing. Imagine if you see all the time. So in the spiritism, we learn also how to block our mediumship to protect ourselves, to help ourselves not seeing spirits all the time, because it would disturb our lives, and sometimes they don't even realize we see them. I love the scene in Ghost where, oh my God, Ghost is such an old movie. A lot of young people never even heard of Ghost. But the old movie Ghost, there is a scene where Patrick Swayze, I forgot the name of the real actor in the movie, I forgot his name, but he is attracted to a situation where Whoopi Goldberg, she is like doing a reading for people, and she is a fake medium. She's not a real medium. That's what she thinks. And she's doing a reading just for money. So she's collecting money and she's saying all kinds of things. She's like inventing from her mind. And then he starts getting angry. He starts saying, no, this is not true. And she's like, she started hearing. And she's like,
Surprise.
what? So in that moment, her medium, the real mediumship really flourished, and she connected, and she heard him, and then she started seeing him. And that was really, really, really good, because he realized she could see him. Because many times for spirits, it's like this too. They try in the beginning to communicate, usually with their family members, and nobody hears, nobody feels. So they just realize nobody can see. But then if one day they go to a place and somebody sees them, then they get crazy, because you can see me, and then they don't want to leave you in peace. They want to stay there forever, what is not good either. So that's why it's important for us to learn how to block the mediumship and disconnect from the spirit. But
And one more thing, the fact that we attract spirits to us should encourage us to be good, if nothing else, because who wants to attract bad spirits around us? Because even if we are, for example, you mentioned gossiping, you know, sometimes you might want to gossip, but then you have spirits around you that are encouraging you to do more.
mhm.
So it's like a snowball effect, and before you know it, you're out of control. And it's not just from yourself; it's just encouragement from the bad sources.
Yes, that's another thing. That's the famous connections that we can be influenced a lot about the spirits around us, and then we end up doing things that we don't even want to do, or things that are good things. So everything depends of with whom you are connecting. So this is another good point. Well, we have pretty much to close, and we talked so much, but we didn't really went deeply in the items of the church. And but it's very funny because the second book we have to quickly read, pretty much touched these points. So the fear of death, based in the Catholic belief, I'm just talking about Catholic belief because it's what is mentioned in the book, but there are so many other beliefs that also make us afraid of death. Is the idea of purgatory. No, this is the idea of everything. Heaven, the idea of heaven in Catholicism is that peaceful place in the clouds, everybody playing the harp, la 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 la. So I remember I was a child, and for me this was extremely boring. I didn't want to go there. No way. I actually didn't know what to do because heaven, boring. Hell was burning hell forever and ever. So for me, I remember telling the priest, I want to go to the purgatory. And he was like, what? I was like 10, 11 and telling, no, I want to go to the purgatory. And he's like, why? I said, well, because heaven is too boring. Hell is very hot and painful. And purgatory is some kind of more or less.
There's a great statement in chapter 2 of Heaven and Hell that says, this eternal uselessness, though preferable to nothingness, of course, is nothing but a fastidious monotony. I think that perfectly describes what you're mentioning, Angie, of like heaven being this place of just like endless nothingness. Like it's that image that we get from the Catholic Church, for example. It sounds horrible. And there's so much life to live, so much to do, so much change to make. I don't want to be floating around in the clouds for eternity.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
So
horrible.
when we think, when we talk to the spirits, and when they tell us that there is so much to do, there is so much work to do, there is so much that they still can improve and they can help us. And I remember I was like 18, and when I was 18, oh God, 1,000 years ago, my boyfriend, he was a spiritist and I was not. And then one day we were talking about death, and he asked me, so what do you think is death for you? And then I'm like, well, for me, death, I'm not a bad person, so I will be able to choose what to do. And then he said, and what do you want to do? Oh, I want to be at the beach every single day. And then he said, so you think after you die, that's what you're going to do, to go to the beach every day? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. Oh my God. Nowadays, I feel so embarrassed. I'm like, oh, how did I thought about that? And then he was so nice. He said, it's not like that, but I think it's okay. You will discover one day. So he never told me anything. And then now I understand now that this going to the beach every day, it's bad even here. Imagine you go to a paradise, you go on vacation, you go to the beach every day, but after some time you are bored. You want to do something else. You want to go to the mountains. You even want to go to work. So
the world's to conquer.
Everything that you do every day, the same thing becomes boring, and the idea that that's heaven is weird. So for us, the idea that when we help somebody else, it helps us. This is really the work, and of course, then we go back to Maribel. We can choose to help family members that are still living. If we have conditions, spiritual condition, we can come back and inspire them doing good things. And that's when people say, oh, I had a dream and someone told me this, or it's almost like I feel like I hear a voice, or I had the inspiration. All these sentences usually are the spirits inspiring us to do something good. So this is another point connected to what Yvonne was saying. Awesome. We have to change books, and our time is done. But we have at least to read this poor little book that I give so little attention to it. So the name of the book is What is Spiritism? And this is the interview with a priest. So it's a Catholic priest that is asking questions to Allan Kardec. And the question today is actually about the dogmas of the church, pretty much connected to heaven and hell. So I will quickly read the first question. No. Let's ask Jeffrey. Jeffrey, can you just read the question for us?
Sure. So it says, the priest asks, you say that Spiritism does not argue over dogma, and yet it accepts certain points contested by the church, such as reincarnation and the presence of humans on the earth before Adam. It also denies eternal punishment, the existence of demons, purgatory, and the fires of hell.
Exactly. So the priest is telling Kardec, so Spiritism does not accept the dogmas of the church. How can we deal with it? So Allan Kardec starts explaining, well, the dogmas of the church, they are basically opinions. So Yvonne, can you read for us the answer of Kardec in yellow, like a summary?
Okay, so they're merely opinions, considered controversial even in theology. One great principle governs them all, the practice of the good, which is the higher law. While waiting for light to be shed on these questions, believe, if you wish, in flames and material tortures, if doing so keeps you from doing evil. Believe that we have only one corporeal existence if it pleases you. That will not prevent you from being born again. Believe that the world was fully created in 6 24-hour days, if that is your opinion. That will not keep the earth from bearing proof to the contrary in its geological layers. Believe, if you wish, that Joshua stopped the sun. That will not stop the earth in its orbit. Believe that humankind has been on the earth for only 6,000 years. That is impossible. So believe.
So basically, what Kardec is trying to tell the priest is making a comparison of what we understand also with science. So we have scientific proof of the age of the planet Earth. So when a church comes and tells the earth was created in certain amount of days and hours, we know it's not possible. So one of the things that the spirits always tells us is that always use reasoning, always follow science, always follow the truth that is discovered. So we also understand that science does not have the last word, because there are so many things that are being discovered on and on and on. But this is just a basic idea Kardec is giving to the priest, that lots of the dogmas of church actually are just opinions that are not really the truth, even by science. So sorry, Yvonne. Continue with the last part.
So believe in anything you like, even in the devil, if such belief enables you to be good, human, and charitable towards your fellow beings. As a moral doctrine, Spiritism imposes only one thing: the necessity of doing good and not doing evil. It is a science of observation, which, I repeat, has moral consequences, and these consequences are the confirmation and proof of the great principles of religion. As for the secondary questions, it leaves those to each one's conscience.
Very, very good. So basically, Kardec is saying, well, we can believe whatever we want, but this idea that imagine the idea. Let me actually remove this so we can talk about the idea of the heaven, the hell forever, or the devil that's going to be there, like making all of us to suffer forever. These are not really good ideas. It's not good thoughts. Imagine if this is what the church is telling, that's the truth. So these are not things that are good for us. So everything is a way of resonating, understanding, connecting, and of course we know a lot of people choose it to believe that because it's kind of easier to think about that.
Yeah.
But
Kardec makes the point that it's just an opinion. There's no basis of any proof behind it. And he also makes the point that as long as you're doing good, that's what really matters.
exactly,
Being
exactly.
charitable, being good, and doing service to others. That's the important thing.
That's the point. You don't even need to have any religion. Just do good, and it will be fine. It will be fine. If you don't believe in God, you don't believe in anything, but you choose to help others, you choose to do good. That's wonderful, because it's already a step ahead of many people that believe in so many things, and by the back they go gossiping, they go plotting negative things, and so many horrible things. So this is the basic thing. This book is so beautiful, and but it's funny, like our subject today was very like woo, everybody wanted to ask questions or make comments, and it was very, very good. So we end up talking more about heaven and hell than we could have talked about what is spiritism. We can do it a little bit different next time. So next month the title will be Heaven, from the heaven and hell. So it will be very interesting too. So we are going to be understanding what is this metaphoric heaven, and then we can also talk about what is the heaven for spiritism, because we do not believe in heaven. There is no place that's a paradise that we go. There are many levels of improvement, and depending of which how we are, that's how we are gonna go. But the enlightened spirits, they even tell us when we are not prepared to be in a world that's very elevated, we feel almost like we have like a bronchitis, or when we can't breathe because it's so perfect, it's so good, and the spirits can read our thoughts. We cannot read theirs, because the more elevated can read the thoughts of the less elevated. And it's almost like we feel naked, because anything we look, they already look at us, and they look at us with compassion, like, oh, poor thing. Oh, and we feel bad. So the enlightened spirit saying that's why you don't want to go to very elevated planets or realms, because you can't sustain that level of energy. Everything happens little by little. It's like evolution. It takes millions of years for something to happen. So it's for us to, it takes many reincarnations for us to reach to a little bit of the better point.
All we can do is our best every day, right? Just with the small tasks that are ahead of us, to try to
Yeah.
be as noble and good and fair and work
Yes.
for justice and compassion. And yeah, it's a slow process.
Yeah, no, and it's what I say, when we are doing good, it's everything is fine. We are like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. We are like more forgiven. But if we are in a bad day, I can't take it anymore. Today she's gonna hear me.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are like a roller coaster. We are like a roller coaster. And the enlightened spirits, they are pure good. And we are like, wow!
Someday.
One day we are going to reach there. One day we're going to reach there. But very good, my friends. It was awesome. We are over the time. You see, it was so good that we went over the time. Wow. So I would like to ask Yvonne to do our final prayer, if you could.
Sure. So let us center ourselves. Take a deep breath. Holy Father, Mother, Father, God, enlightened spirits, we're so grateful to have this opportunity to read the words from, or hear words from the book, Heaven and Hell, we know that there is a world that we're going to go to after we leave this one. We ask that in this world we are charitable to those that we meet, that we provide service, that we provide love. We ask you to bless those that have challenges in life. Help them to turn to God for help. And we are thankful for your mercy, dear Lord, and so be it.
So be it. Very good. Thank you so much, my friends. It was great. Thank you so much to all of you that were here with us, asking questions, making comments. It's very, very good. I will take some time later on to answer the ones I couldn't. And I hope you can come back next month, the first Thursday of the month. See you guys soon. Thank you.
Great to
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
See you in a few minutes. Bye.